Hi there, we're here to talk about this knife in the middle. It's the Becker BK7. That is next to some of its competitors in the market. You've got the similarly priced Gerber Strong Arm, and then you've got the much more expensive, about $70 extra Australian, to get the Falkniven F1. So let's put those aside for a second. What do you get for your money here? This is an $89.95 knife from Aussie Knives at the moment. Usually it's about $120, so a bit of a saving there right now. You get a 1095 Crowvan steel blade in 3/16 of an inch thick, not a quarter, 3/16. So it is thinner than the Falkniven by a little bit, about on par with the Gerber Strong Arm. You get a clip point blade made of the 1095 steel, which is coated in this ceramic or bakelite type of, it feels a bit like bedliner coating that Becker does. Some people love it, some people hate it. I'm yet to decide. As you can see by the knife, it's had very little wear, and where it has had is wiped off this coating very well, which is, I guess, a good sign for the coating. However, there is a few problems with having a coated knife, which I'll go into in a second. You get a Zytel handle, which Zytel is just a really hard plastic. You can sort of feel how hard it is. It almost makes like a scratchy, glassy sort of sound when you flick it, so it's obviously been reinforced with something else. Very sound plastic material, and it is very much a replaceable handle. It actually comes with a black set of scales, so I just switched to brown because the brown matches the sheath. You access that by hex key, medium-sized hex key, or Torx wrench also fits at the larger. Anything with sort of a few corners on it, we'll grab those and spin them. I used the Leatherman skeletal bit driver set and found the bit that drove it just fine. Blade length is just under 4.5 inches, and the handle length is about the same. So you've got about a 9 3/4 of an inch knife altogether. The blade weight is, get my old scales going, grams, sorry, just grams today, 183 grams. So you can do your ounces cover, but it's about the same weight as a Falkniven. The Gerber Strong Arms are a little bit heavier, it feels, a little bit more blade heavy. So overall, very robust knife. At the end you've got this sort of lanyard hole, which also enough steel on that to do a bit of crushing and breaking. So overall, my initial impression is very, very comfortable, very good, agile knife to use. The purpose of this knife is for camp and sort of everyday outdoorsman purposes. Clip points add a little bit more refinement to the purposes of use, so it's not as general as your classic drop point style knife. Clip points are a little bit more fragile, so you wouldn't be using them for prying things out. You could, but you'd probably end up bending or losing your tips. So that's about the only thing a clip point won't do though. It is a better tip for penetrating, and one thing I really like doing, say if you're going up to a tree to write like your sweetheart's name, you can really sort of if you see me marking the bench there, you can hold it like a pencil and wear away really well. So good for making little grooves and perhaps decorating things. So if you get a walking stick or something you're trying to make and you're trying to decorate it, you can scratch little things into your walking stick with your clip point knife. So that's it from the top view, and when I do that you notice the handle has a real sort of hourglassy figure to it, which is really comfortable on the hand. The rounded part fits really nice in the palm. I've got mid to large size hands. I've got the large gloves at work, the plastic gloves, rubber gloves, and it fits my hand really well with a bit of extra to spare. Probably the ideal hand for this knife, I would say. The thumb rests nicely on this very sort of mild jimping, which is just enough to notice it's there, and certainly something that does draw the thumb to it. So BK17, the BK16 and the BK18 are the short Becker range. So you've got the short drop point, which is a very similar size shaped blade to this, but a bit longer. You've got the short clip point, which is this one here, and then you've got the trailing point, which is a little bit longer still. Bit of sort of like a scimitar shaped blade, lots of belly that just goes into a straight flat back, a bit like the non-Bowie cold steel Bushman. Good example of something, if you can't quite imagine that, grind yourself or blade shape yourself. I'm not sure if I've said that it's a double flat grind, so it's flat up here and then a second flat grind there into a terminating bevel on that Crowvan steel. It's a really good grind for most tasks, camp purposes and such. My initial impressions are very good. It feels very solid. Just seeing that, there's something about seeing that tang that just makes you have a bit more trust in the knife. It doesn't leave anything to the imagination. The drawback to that, however, is, as you can probably tell by my other two knives that are my favourites, I do prefer when the knife has an enclosed tang. This reduces the shock, and you really do get a bit of shock, especially if you're doing a little bit of heavier stuff, anything to do with striking the spine as well. You generally get a little bit of shock through your hand, and it's transmitted directly to you via this. So as cool as it is to be able to sort of alternate your handles, and you know, they say if the handles break you can carve yourself new ones or whatever, or you can do a paracord wrap or something. I still at this stage prefer this. I'm interested to see if I end up not caring about it at all, but I'll do like I generally just stand at a tree and just hack at it for about a minute or so, or 2 minutes with a knife, and just see how it feels after that, see if it's terrible in the hand. But when I give it a good squeeze, there's no hot spots. The only thing I'm noticing is that my finger seems to sit right on this nut here, which I could imagine over a long time probably will wear. My finger sort of sits like that, and I reckon my finger might go around and around like that a little bit, and maybe end up with a little bit of a blister or something. I don't know. We'll just have to see. All speculation at this stage. All I'm doing at the minute is a tabletop, just to show off, and I also haven't made a video, so I'm sorry about that. It's been a couple of weeks. And the other thing is, probably could do with a little bit of a file here to get that exposed spine nice and flat to run your ferro rod off of. Because right now, I've got the Light My Fire Scout, which is a good ferro rod, which you can run off most things, and it really won't do it, even if you go a bit further down the blade, where it's a bit more narrow, just won't do it. So that's something we'll have to work on, because it's a very sort of, it's a good fire steel. It's one that you can do the slow or the fast. So just certainly not working at all. So that's it for now. I'll come back to you later with a testing video of this one. I like to take my fixed blades outside before I do an opinion on them. I'm not just a collector, I'm a user of my fixed blade knives. So that's all for now, and thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for a couple of other little videos. See you then. The sheath, the sheath, the sheath. How could I forget to talk about this wonderful sheath? This is the sheath for the Becker BK17 rather. That is how the knife sits in the sheath. You've got 2 straps. It's a Chinese made sheath, but it is really high quality. It's all sort of double stitched, very hefty. You've got a couple of carry options there. You've got your molly, and you've got your belt loop that you can attach without taking off your belt. It rips off. It's held by a snap button, as well as the hook and loop style Velcro, if you want to call it by the brand. The 2 straps feel very well made, very similar to the Ontario heavy Bowie that I would produce. Like, sometimes these straps are really flimsy, and but these are sort of folded over, double stitched, just good, nice and thick, and I really like them. And it's got this pocket in the front, which, as you can see with the lanyard hanging out, I'm already using for a Leatherman rebar multi-tool, which fits perfectly in there. Just right. So if you put it in the narrow ends down, it nestles right into the end of the sheath. Much more useful than a sharpening stone, if you ask me. So that is the sheath. Very happy with it so far. I'll again give you an idea of how it carries once I've carried it. So stay tuned for the full test and review of the Becker BK7. Cheers!